Hi everyone, welcome to Unapologetic Radio, where I share my thoughts and opinions on things that are happening. Remember that. If you do not like my show, please move on. If you like my show, hit the like button and subscribe so that you will receive the notifications of any new shows. If you like my show and you want to support, my Cash App is in the description. Okay, everybody. It is our first show for the month of February, and this month is important because we celebrate Black History Month. But by the news and current events, we are not in a celebration state when so many of us are losing our lives to violence and crimes by Black men. I remember when we only feared white men, but now in 2022, the violence and torture have been at the hands of ignorant, disrespectful, cocky Black men. Black men that are supposed to be providers and protectors. Black men who are supposed to be fathers, brothers, uncles, cousins, grandsons, and nephews. And they walk around and call themselves queen. Or they should. I'm playing. They call themselves kings. But a king wouldn't behave the way these savages have. Tyre Nichols' demise shows a Black officer's shift in handling police violence. On January 7th, 2023, with cameras nearly everywhere and residents weary, the authorities are moving faster and speaking critical when officers are accused of beatings. Over the last few weeks in Memphis, it became clear how much has changed as officers respond to police beatings and the demise of Tyre Nichols, a Black 29-year-old male. Tyre Nichols was hospitalized after he was pulled over on January 7th around 8:30 p.m. by five Memphis police officers who are Black. The night they arrested him, the officers told his mother, Miss Wells, her son was arrested for a DUI, pepper sprayed, and tased. Because of that, they said that he was going to the hospital and would later be taken to booking at the police station, Miss Wells says. Then they asked Miss Wells, was he on any type of drugs or anything of that nature, because they were saying it was difficult to put handcuffs on him. And he had the amount of energy of a superhuman, she said. What they were describing was not her son, so Mrs. Wells was very confused. Officers said she couldn't go to the hospital. Mrs. Wells said, and when she asked where her son was, they said that he was nearby, but wouldn't tell her exactly where. Y'all, and this is Black History Month. Around 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Miss Wells said a doctor called to summons her to the hospital to see her son. The doctor proceeded to tell her that her son had went into cardiac arrest and that his kidneys were failing. Mrs. Wells said, this doesn't sound consistent to someone being tased or pepper sprayed, as the police told her. Mrs. Wells describes her son that night as he had bruises all over him, his head was swollen like a watermelon, his neck was bruised because of the swelling, they broke his neck. She said, my son's nose looked like an S. They actually just beat the crap out of him. And so when I saw that, I knew my son was gone. The end. Even if he did live, he would have been a vegetable. The 5 police officers were fired after the initial investigation and are facing criminal charges, including second-degree murder. Chief Davis said, they've looked at the cameras, they've looked at the body cameras worn, and even if something occurred prior to the stop, we're unable to substantiate that at this time. She also went to say. We've taken a pretty extensive look to determine what the probable cause was, and we have not been able to sustain that either. Also unclear are who was involved in the initial police encounter, how far Nicholas fled on foot, how officers apprehended him, how long these confrontations lasted, or why officers felt compelled to confront Nicholas twice. From the beginning of the encounter, the chief said the officers involved were revved up. The escalation was already at an all-time high. On the video, you could hear him call out for his mother, and these black men who were supposed to be fathers, brothers, uncles, cousins, grandsons, and nephews showed not 1 ounce of remorse. They didn't show not one. This is where we really are with black men. They have turned into heartless, disrespectful, cunning, nasty, dangerous individuals. I will never understand what gives people, not just black men, but people, the right to take a life. What kind of person are you to hurt someone to the point that they'll lose a body part or become a cabbage for the rest of their lives at your hand? Any person like that deserves everything negative that comes their way. I'm pushing for the death penalty for all 5 of them. If they're going to make an example out of them, let them make a good example out of them. I do apologize in advance, men/males, if you feel a little hurt or you feel some kind of way. But if this is not you, then you know someone like this. And as men, you need to break this self-destruction of the men, of the black man at that. If you like, hit the like button. So, on January 10th, 3 days after the stop, Nicholas dies due to injuries sustained in the use of force incident with officers. According to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation statement, Nicholas suffered extensive bleeding caused by severe beating, according to the preliminary results of an autopsy commissioned by attorneys for the family. Officers Tardis Bean, Demetrius Haley, Emmett Martin III, Desmond Miles Jr., and Justin Smith were terminated for failing in their excessive use of force, duty to intervene, and duty to render aid, the department said in a statement. Martin III, Smith, Bean, Haley, and Mills Jr. have each been charged with second-degree murder, aggravated assault, 2 charges of aggravated kidnapping, 2 charges of official misconduct, and 1 charge of official oppression, according to both Shelby County Criminal Court and Shelby County Jail records. Some are comparing this to the Rodney King incident, and is very much aligned with the same type of behavior. I would say it's about the same, if not worse. For those of you who don't know or remember, Rodney Glenn King, born April 2nd, 1965, and was pronounced deceased on June 17, 2012, after almost 11 years. He was an African American man who was a victim of police brutality. On March 3, 1991, he was beaten by Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, officers during his arrest after a pursuit for driving while intoxicated on I-210. At a press conference, Los Angeles Police Sheriff Daryl Gates announced that the 4 officers involved would be disciplined for use of excessive force and that 3 would face criminal charges. The LAPD initially charged King with felony invasion, but later dropped the charge. On his release, he spoke to reporters from his wheelchair. With his injuries evident, a broken right leg in a cast, his face badly cut and swollen, bruises on his body, and a burn area to his chest where he had been jolted with a stun gun. He described how he had kneeled, spread his hands out, then slowly tried to move so not to make any stupid mistakes. Being hit across the face by a billy club and shocked, he said he was scared for his life as they drew down on him. King was taken to specific hospital after his arrest, where he was found to have been suffered a fractured facial bone, a broken right ankle, and multiple bruises and lacerations. In a filed with the city, King alleged he had suffered 11 skull fractures, permanent brain damage, broken bones and teeth, kidney failure, and emotional and physical trauma. Serlin C.J. Davis, Chief Davis, is a black woman. Davis, who goes by CJ, is a North Carolina native who was Durham's former chief of police. She was born in a military family stationed at Fort Bragg. She was fired from Atlanta Police Department in 2008 for her alleged involvement in a sex crimes investigation into the husband of an Atlanta police sergeant, according to the Atlanta Journal Constitution. She spent 5 years as a Durham police chief in 2016, leaving in 2021 to join the Memphis Police Department. While in Durham, the Durham Police Department faced public criticizing over mountings of homicide rates and racial traffic stops and misdemeanor marijuana enforcement. The News and Observer reported Davis made changes that included requiring officers to cite not arrest for certain marijuana offenses and other misdemeanors, reducing the number of traffic stops for minor violations, requiring body cams, and sending qualified young people to a misdemeanor diversity program. She was part of a national conversation on police reform in 2020, sparked by Minneapolis police killings of George Floyd. Because she was the first female police chief in Memphis history in 2021. In both cities, she was the first African American woman to lead the departments. Hit the like button and subscribe. Knowing this about her and the disrespect for black females within the black community, these 5 officers didn't respect or obey the law because I believe, and this is just my personal opinion, it was being enforced by a black female. They made her look bad, which is normal behavior of black men when dealing with black females. This traffic stop, guys, is so deep and it's going to set us back so far. And it just brought to the forefront what's been going on in the news about black men disrespecting black females. The male race itself is really disgraceful at this point. I believe it can be helped, but it's far gone. We need some great leaders to stand up. We need some great leaders to put us back in the right direction, because this is ridiculous. But I believe, and it's just my personal opinion, that they were quick to do this and act it out so fast, because it was a black female that would take the heat for it. If it was someone else, I believe that it would not have taken place. Look at the crime and who was in charge. Where do we have this type of like behavior? This would have never happened under, like I said, a watch of another type of person. Black women is the most feared and disrespected by black men. Black women are bullied consistently by black men, on top of all the things that black women go through. Black men have been known to force their dreams and responsibilities on black women. And this is a prime example of yet again another black woman in the hot seat for a black man. If the tables were turned, what would a black man do? He will throw her under the bus. I'm going to answer it in a good way. He's going to throw her under a bus and then turn his back, because that's what black men are known for doing. And prime example, Shanquilla, God rest her soul, so very missed. We need to keep her name alive. But Shanquilla was another one that met her demise at the hands of a black man. Well, I'm not going to say that. She met her demise, but the black man stood there and watched. He didn't jump in, They told her to fight back, but that was it. There was no, the men that was in the room that night did not show that they were men and show their force and stop this, They just let it happen. So, the lesson to this is, we as black people have no protection, and we have just been existing. We as black people are embarrassing and dangerous, and the black man is turning into the most feared, and not for good reasons. Black men are beyond repair. They are so aggressive. They are grown ass children, which makes things even more dangerous. They are jealous and they are envious of everything now. They have no respect. They are manipulating and very deceitful. And those types of characteristics bring out the beast in them, as we can see with Tyre. They don't want to contain, because this is the newfound definition of a black man. Look at the photo of these clowns from the block, the not in boys. They wanted to feel like they were men that night. So happy because they had to be respected for once in their lives. They hid behind the uniform and beat someone's father, brother, uncle, cousin, grandson, and nephew to his demise. Now, there is a few good black men. I'm not going to pass on. I'm not going to be so. There has been a few good black men that have passed through the destruction stage. If this is you, good job. I'll throw you a party for being a man. The man that God said that you should be. But that just means that the rage lies with your fathers, brothers, uncles, cousins, grandsons, and nephews. You need to talk to them. We got to do better. Well, thank you guys for the support. If you like my show, please hit the like button, subscribe, tell your family and friends all about Unapologetic Radio. If you'd like to support, the Cash App is in the description below. Until next time, please be blessed.